Now, we're going to bring in one of my co-organizers, Ashley Turner, who's going to talk a little bit about social dark posts, another thing I'm confounded about. So when she proposed it, I'm like, yes, you should come teach me more, because I don't know.
I don't really think that's the way the story went.
I think that's exactly how it went. That's the story. I'm in charge.
Okay. Do you have a clicker? Or do I just have to press?
I'm afraid we're not that sophisticated.
Not that fancy. Cool. Okay. So as you can see, I pretty much made this the most bright. Can you hear me back there? Or don't you want me to speak?
Mike,
Better? Okay. I made it the most bright, sunny, fun presentation I could because all day long people have been like, ooh, dark posts, ooh, dark social. And it's really not that scary, so let's get into it. I'm Ashley, and I'm the Communications Director for Options for Sexual Health, and yes, that is actually my Twitter handle, Sex with Ashley, so if you need to find me, you can find me there. I'm going to put this here because I've got a couple of notes that... No, I'm not a bot. I'm really nice. Okay, so a little bit about what we want to cover today. Dark social, what it is, what we need to know about it, what we can do to utilize this knowledge, and some tools and tips. Dark posts, what are they? What do we need to know about them? And how can we use this power for awesome? And who can benefit from this? Also, full disclaimer, I'm not the expert on this. I'm just somebody who looked at what was available online and found out some information. Really, my goal from today is to have you leave here knowing what these mean so that you can either take this and run with it and do what you need to do with it yourself, or you can find someone a whole lot smarter than me who can help you utilize these tools. So this is the real story. We were sitting in our organizers meeting, and we were talking about dark posts, and I was like, I totally know what that means. It's this and this and this. No, I was really wrong. I was actually talking about dark social. So they're two very different things that sound a lot the same, and people get them mixed up. So I thought, I'm probably not the only confused person. I'm going to help other folks distinguish between the two. Okay, so let's start here with dark social. Whoops, sorry. I really need a podium, Eli. Yeah. So it's not as evil as it sounds. This is essentially what dark social is. It's the portion of referral traffic that lacks information to trace back to its source. Sounds pretty simple, right? So here's a quote. I scoured the web and found a bunch of different quotes and a bunch of different information and read basically the same thing everywhere I looked. But essentially, it's something that passes through the platforms and doesn't actually get the same referral rate as something else. So I'm going to use a little example, because who doesn't love kittens, right? So this is basically what happens. You're sitting at work, and we all do this. You see a post, which is an article or a link or a blog, and because you're at work, you don't want to post it on Facebook or on Twitter or on social media anywhere. So instead, you find your friend who has a kitten, and you're like, I'm going to share this with my friend who has a kitten. And you send them a direct message, or you send them a Slack message, or you send them a WhatsApp message. And friend reads the article, friend emotes, friend laughs, finds it funny, and basically there's no trace of it. Yes. Okay, there's no trace of it. Boom. That's dark social. So why is it that you want to pay attention to this? Why is this interesting to us? 84% of all links are now going dark social. So basically when people are sharing things, they're sharing it 84% of the time through dark social, through direct messages, so things like WhatsApp, Slack, etc. They're not posting it, they're not sharing it. Now,
how do we know this?
How do we know this? Again, I'm not the expert. So basically, I looked at a lot of the research that was out there, and people who are, again, much smarter than me were looking at how links are being traced, how they're tracking, and there are ways that you can actually track dark social, so I'm guessing it's an estimate as well as some of this research. One of the interesting stats was that there's actually a huge increase in this. So it went from, in 2014, about 69%, to now in 2017, 2018 now, it's 84%. So I'm guessing, like I said, there's people smarter than me that are sharing it. Yeah. Does that kind of answer that?
Yes.
Okay. When in doubt, lean on me when there's people smarter than me. Okay, so what can we do about this? So I'm not going to go through the steps of how to do this because we only have 10 minutes, and this is actually a much, much more in-depth piece around Google Analytics. So I'm going to let you do that work for yourself, and you can find it quite easily online. There's step-by-step guides on how you can track and how you can trace them. You can be strategic. Sorry, let me flip to my notes. Does this make sense so far? Does everybody kind of get the idea of what dark social means? So how many of you use dark social? How many of you today sent a link to somebody and didn't do it publicly? Right. I work in sexual health, and for me as a nonprofit person, this is a huge impact. If I post something around birth control and somebody sees it and says, ooh, birth control, this is a really good information piece, I'm not posting it on my Facebook. I'm going to send it to my friend who uses that kind of birth control and say, here, you should read this. And then there's no tracking. So when we're looking at our Google Analytics, we're seeing less than 15%, 16% of what's actually happening on our website. Okay, so this is where I got confused and had to ask for some help because this is a text-speak language that I actually don't talk. But basically, there's a way that we can do this through UTMs. Does anybody here know what a UTM is? All right, so if you need to know what a UTM is, find those smart people like Eli who can help you figure it out. The short version is that you can create a trackable link with a little bit of code in it so that you can follow it and use your analytics to help you see what's actually happening. There's also a bunch of tracking tools. Again, you can Google this. It's very simple to find. There's ones like Post, so that's po.st, Share This, and GetSocial.io. Using a multi-pronged approach will also really help you to track those links. Locally, Hootsuite has a really great article that talks about why you want to be using dark social, and you can actually use the Owly links to help you track your posts and your links. So the takeaways from dark social: it allows people to send URLs without referrals or traceable steps. This can yield deceiving analytics. Just a show of hands, how many people use your analytics in grant applications or reports or your annual reports, etc.? So imagine if you could show 84% more of what you're doing and the impact it's having. How much that would change your grant applications or your funding structure. Okay, so dark posts, which is what I was originally supposed to talk about. Has anybody here heard of a dark post before? What dark posts are? Chris has. I know Chris has. So basically, it's not scary, it's not evil. Some people have tried to make it sound really evil, but it's basically a way that people can share ads or content without having it in their newsfeed, which allows us to be a lot more targeted. I think Darren left, but what Darren was talking about with the targeting around advertising. So again, how many people are on Facebook today? So of those people who showed their hand, I'm going to guess that every single one of you experienced a dark post at some point. I was looking on my own Facebook, and within 3 scrolls down the page or less, this came up. So basically, anytime you see in the top corner something that says sponsored, or anytime you see something with a call to action like shop now, learn, etc., you're most likely looking at a dark post. So the nice thing about
I was just going to say, I don't know if that's also true for Facebook boosted posts, because
there's a difference. Yeah, there is a difference. So, and I'll talk about that just in a second. But basically, Facebook has added some transparency over the past few months, which now allows people to see when dark posts are being made, or to see which ads and pages running. So for some people, they thought this would be the end of dark posts because the transparency comes into place, but it actually hasn't decreased it at all so far. Okay, so the difference between a boosted post and an unpublished post is that when you're doing a Facebook post and you have something that comes up and maybe it's doing really well, and Facebook's going to suggest to you, hey, do you actually want to boost this post? Do you want to share this with a broader audience? That's different because it's already been published on your page. It's already in your newsfeed. With an unpublished post or a dark post, basically what's happening is it's not showing up in your newsfeed, which means that you're your users aren't being inundated constantly. The people who are already your fans, already your followers, aren't getting the blast of these advertisements, so you can actually use much more targeted posts. Again, it's really easy. You just need to go into Facebook, and Facebook actually tells you exactly how to do it. So here's an example. How do I use dark posts? People who love kittens, people who live in urban centers, and people between 19 and 35. There you go. They can target, and you can track, you can use A/B testing, etc. So it makes it a lot easier to get your new audience, get people to do your call to action that you want them to do, like donate, etc. Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter all have dark posts that you can do, and any paid advertising on Instagram or Snapchat are already dark posts, so you don't have to do anything special. Takeaways? Facebook has a step-by-step tutorial, so you can figure this out yourself, or you can get somebody really smart to do it for you. It can be really useful for A/B testing of ads. And like I said, even though there's transparency now, it doesn't seem to be decreasing the usability of dark posts. Okay, so I'm just going to go really quickly through this because Eli's giving me the 1-minute warning. So there's a few things: dark social, dark posts, we've talked about, A/B testing. Darren thankfully talked a little bit about targeted advertising. Creating URLs or UTMs that help you track what you're doing so that they don't get lost in that dark social. Transparency, as I mentioned, and evolving. So typically, nonprofits do tend to be a little bit delayed when it comes to any new technology or social media. I think that's starting to change. Look at the room full of people here. But I think that it's also still something that we're learning about. So this is something that bigger advertising companies, universities, and real estate agents and for-profit companies have been using for a long time. And we're now just starting to catch up. So I hope that that helps answer some questions about dark posts and dark social and what the difference is between the two of them and how you can use them for your nonprofit.